Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the VCS English broadcast stream. We are in day number 6, the end of our first week of competition for the last. It's been since the beginning of spring, and already we've had an absurd amount of action, an absurd amount of nonsense, as this league is absolutely known for. And we're just about to prepare for our last 2 series of the week. Before we get into all of that, I'm going to do some introductions. My name's 𝘀𝗶𝗹𝗀𝗀, of course, going to be hosting for the night. Alongside me, Clockwork and 𝘀𝘀cie. Gentlemen, you've been around for the majority of the week. How are you feeling? Emotions, things running through your mind coming into our final day.
Okay, this week has been really wild. We started in full VCS style, and every prediction, especially some analysts' prediction, went already out of the window, and we won't have it any other way. So keep it up.
Yeah, looking good so far, I would say. I mean, there's some teams at the bottom that really shouldn't be there, or at least to our expectations shouldn't be there. And there are some teams at the top who are also a welcome surprise we have there. I mean, one of them is playing today, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And actually, getting a chance to talk before we get into today's games, we have 4 teams that have been wrapped up for the week already, between Cerberus, SBTC, Saigon, and of course Team Secret, who have all ended really close to, if not top half. Those are three of our teams that are in the top 4 at the moment, and Team Secret's right on that precipice at that number 4 slot. Gentlemen, I guess we'll start with you, Mr. Clockwork. I suppose thoughts on these 4 teams in general, expectations that maybe got shattered. Clockwork, I know you had a very kind of gravitating opinion, and it's actually very likely that GAM goes completely winless as opposed to undefeated for the entire split, surprisingly. But let's hear if you got any more polarizing takes here.
Okay, so what caught my eye after this first week was absolutely SBTC's performance. I didn't expect much. Well, every one in the broadcast crew expected some around top 4 performance or something like that. But the introduction of Serg as a coach is already showing that this team is here to play. And the way they won, specifically yesterday against Buffalo, was really impressive. And I think their preparation has been going really well. And I don't know, this is what a surprise that I couldn't see coming. And SBTC, I'm my opinion on them is rising quite well.
And I'm really surprised by Cerberus, actually. I mean, I didn't expect them to be top of the table at this point of the season so far. I mean, they won every series to 1, but at least there's credit where credit is due given to them. And gotta say so, they don't really have that top lane synergy going on at the moment, because yesterday they just played POS and it looked really awful for them. Then they played PUN and it didn't look that much better. I mean, it looked much better, but both were not the best that you can have from the top lane there. And speaking of Saigon Buffalo, for example, that they lose 2-0 to SBTC was a really surprise.
I think it was as well. I actually have a small game for you two planned, but I'm going to save it for a little bit further down the line because we're going to get into our first series of the day here. We're starting things off game number 1, or series number 1, my apologies, with 𝘀𝗀cie versus Team Flash. A little bit later on, we'll be seeing GAM versus Burst the Sky. Both of them should be fine series as we go throughout the day. But we're introducing our first one. 𝘀𝗀cie Esports have gotten off to an unrealistically amazing start. Currently sitting in second place. They're undefeated, not only in series score, but in game score. Gentlemen, talk to me about 𝘀𝗀cie, I guess, because this team has absolutely exploded out of what seemed like almost nowhere.
I think I'll have to start on this one. So I see that every fandom of some player starts a church, okay? And I don't think a church would be enough. I'm here to begin the sect of Killer_Queen. Okay, so get your knives ready because Killer_Queen has been a standout performer of this team, and on his assassin champions, he's really shown so far. Of course, he's not doing everything on his own. He's assisted by his solo lanes, especially Blazes, that takes this roaming champion to help Killer_Queen. Snowballing also other lanes. And one interesting thing is their focus around the top lane, because all their kills before 50 minutes have been around Coated. So they know that Coated wants the attention, and he delivers by really stepping up and carrying the whole game for them. So it's a really smooth transition so far from Killer_Queen early game dominance and then Coated translating this advantage into a win, and I love how this team has worked so far.
And this brings us right back to Team Flash, I would say. I mean, there are certain problems and there's certain silver linings for them. I mean, silver linings is, of course, that they have 𝘀𝘀 in the top lane, who has been stellar. Even in losses, he played really well. He was always winning his lanes in CS very highly, despite having played some decent competition, I would say. And today that just continues with playing against Coded and the top side focus that 𝘀𝗀 just mentioned. And gotta say, there's a lot of problems with Team Flash. They lost every game so far, except for that one game against Team Secret, I think it was, where 𝗀𝗵𝗴 went absolutely off on Syndra, which is something I cannot speak too highly of because, well, Rebel is hosting.
That's
but
right.
Either way of that, yeah, let's not dive into that too deeply. But even that win was not really a convincing win, if we are totally being honest.
My analysts are both trying to just piss me off today because we've had mention of Syndra and also a direct competitor to the 𝘀𝗀 fan club already established within our desk. We're going to get at least a little more communication on Flash, and I'd like to take a different approach to this because Team Flash has a million things that can be criticized. I think they've already won more games than I would have expected this split, so there's that. But talk to me about the bright spots, I suppose, 𝘀cie. You know, if you've got, I suppose, what is the flash in the pan for this team, somebody that you could count on, somebody that you should be looking at as somebody that could either develop or somebody that they could build around, the proverbial froggy, if you will, for their team. Who is it on the side of Team Flash that you think you would put your money into?
I mean, it certainly would be 𝘀𝘀. I mean, it's just pretty obvious that he's the carry of the team. Maybe you could also make a point for 𝘀𝘀, but he in the support position cannot really like 1v9 a game so easily. It's pretty hard, especially if you sometimes well get it to an enchanter, like if you happen to play Nami or Yuumi or Lulu. But with those being banned, it's maybe a little bit more easy for those. And I also got to highlight Dante a little bit here because he is either very tilt-proof or very prone to have good smites ready, because what he did against, I think it was Cerberus, that one game where he had this very good Baron steal, really speaks in his favor.
I agree, and there are like a few spots of brilliance, especially I remember in the first series that Flash have played. In the first phases of the game, they have an idea of how to enact their plan. I have seen a few good setups, for example, around Herald or around some dives. So there is some starting points that they can improve on. So it's not like everything is bad. Of course, they need to improve on some details, but I think there is some foundation. It's not a completely doomed team.
I'm happy to hear that. We had a kind of a rough last split for a couple of teams, and Team Flash is not somebody I think everybody wants to see fail after how they did in 2020 when they had that big competitive season. So this was marred to be a really rough split for them, given the number of rookies that are coming in for this squad. But thankfully, like you two gentlemen have pointed out for us, it is entirely possible that they are not without at least some legs with which they could actually sit on, as we're about to get into draft any second now. What are we looking for, I suppose, when it comes to the combination of these two teams, popular picks, things that we might be expecting to see in the drafting as we're starting right in? You see the Aphelios already taken off the board, as well as the Xin Zhao and the Graves.
So to begin with, I expect that the Jhin priority should be still very high. VCS AD carries love this champion a lot. It's really easy to park your bot lane on the Jhin and just play elsewhere on the map. So I expect this pick to still be popular. Same of course, reasoning for the Misfortune. So I expect these champions to be picked like either first pick or first in the first round. We are already seeing a kind of a new champion for Killer Queen. He's been deprived of one of his most played champion for the split, which is the Talon. So he goes for the Lee Sin, which is still really good for the game plan that 𝘀𝗀 have in mind and impact lanes really well. And that's Jhin, and also the Idoli for Dante. How he plays on this champion though.
A little bit of a VCS special, right?
Yeah, I was actually about to give you that point specifically. For some reason, I feel like at Worlds we saw no Nidalee, and now we're getting all of the Nidalee here in the VCS. It's a popular pick, and I want to ask your thoughts on Dante, because you pointed that out as being one of the youngsters here that's actually been playing rather well for the side of Flash.
I mean, rather well, it's maybe a little bit of an overstatement because he still had some very rough, especially early games, and he was playing like 𝘁𝗏 a lot, and that's like not the pinnacle of mechanical brilliance, I might add. And Lizzie is a little bit harder to play, so let's see how he can perform in this one. It just maybe shows that they are confident in him, that he can, yeah, get the skill check against 𝘁𝗏 for some reason, because 𝘁𝗏 is also very strong. This might not be the best idea for them, but I mean, just give him a game 1 on a carry pick, and let's see how it works, I guess. And 𝘁 is, of course, the standard VCS AD carry with Aphelios banned, with Lucian banned. I actually like that Aphelios is finally getting banned, or at least considered in this draft, which is something that didn't happen before. And 𝘁 against MF is, of course, very standard for the VCS here. What I also want to talk about is not the Syndra, because it's something I am not allowed to talk about, is what is the plan about Yoshino's 𝘀? Because I think you either second rotation ban it or have something prepared against it, and I'm really looking forward to what 𝘀𝗀xe has up the sleeves for them.
Indeed, and I'm seeing that both teams are trying to keep their counter picks for the top laners. Of course, both 𝘀ed and Yoshino are the centerpieces of their respective team's strategy. Of course, in this case, 𝘀аше is red side, so they will win the tug of war eventually. But still, 𝘀𝗀xe already picked one of the champions that were instrumental, as I mentioned, for their strategy, which is the Ryze in the mid lane. So now they can very well pick some at least neutral matchup, I would say. In the top lane, of course, now 𝘀ase is banning some top laners. So there's a support still missing. There's a very wide array of champions available. Knowing 𝘁𝗏32, he's loving some engaged champions. Leon is banned, of course, so there's still Rakan, and his pocket pick. I believe he is the only one so far that has played 𝘁𝗀xe, which is an interesting pick in the VCS. And yeah, there goes the Jax ban towards 𝘀ed.
Yeah, so I had actually noticed that it's 𝘀ed who's potentially on the Jax, and he's an incredible Jax player. And they played their hand a little bit because the Jace being taken off the board, followed by the Jax, with the Camille still up, led to the belief maybe that Yoshino would actually end up in the position where he would be taking that very powerful top laner. Although Renekton was still available in case 𝘀ed want that one, but notably, 𝘀 still available, which is what you talked about, 𝘀𝗀xe, a little bit of having Yoshino on that very powerful champion. Quick summary: I mean, we've got quite a bit of range actually on the side here of Team 𝘀ase between the Syndra, the 𝘁, and the Nidalee. The Syndra, by the way, you're allowed to talk about specifically because this is a good matchup for it. The range advantage and the good wave clear into Ryze. And like you had actually attested to, Clockwork. Oh, okay, they're going to fool us with a 𝘁𝗀xe pick and actually go to the Alistar instead.
Sadly, right? I mean, what I like from Team 𝘀ase is here that they let's have the last pick for Yoshino, because he can then pick up a counter matchup. I also think the Gnar line pick is maybe something where the 𝘀 is a decent pick into it. I recently saw Gnar into 𝘀, but it didn't work too well for the opposition of Yoshino there, especially in the laning phase, where Yoshino was not really put that far behind. And I think maybe the 𝘀 is also a little bit of a bait pick here, because the rest of the comp on Team 𝘀ase looks very early game focused. 𝘀 cannot really add much to that, because she's more of a late game insurance policy there, and that's also maybe why we see the Irelia, which would also be a lane counter to the Gnar, and I like that much more actually now, because this draft has an identity for Team 𝘀ase. It's maybe not the best identity because it really falls off late game, but at least they have like a window to strike against 𝘀𝗀xe, and they certainly need that.
Absolutely agree. Here, 𝘀ase seems to be very centered on this early game, and also managed to defuse quite well the strategy that 𝘀𝗀xe has always gone for, which was around 𝘀ed. Now, it will be much harder for him to be put in a position to carry. I'm gonna say that if 𝘀ase can manage to work around those early setups that I was talking about, it would be quite easy for them to get an early lead. Well, of course, will be put in question if they can hold on to that advantage until the team fights come and to win those crucial moments. So yeah, at the moment I'm preferring 𝘀ase draft. Question mark, of course.
On one side, I actually see 𝘀𝗀xe with a really like team fight oriented composition for the first time, not this that kind of crazy aggression from 𝘁𝗀que, even though he's on the least hid. And the other side, the rookies on things that aren't necessarily that crazy, they're going to put a lot onto Dante, a lot onto Yoshino. One word: 𝘀ase or 𝘀𝗀xe. Gentlemen, what's your prediction for this game?
𝘀𝑺ury.
Flash.
Ooh, conflicted on the analyst desk. I can tell you two gentlemen who are not going to be conflicted with one another as they're going to be casting some phenomenal League Legends. 𝘀𝗋𝗄, 𝘀𝗈, kick us off for game number 1.
We're always conflicted, me and 𝘀𝗈, as we have differing opinions on too many things, but we are heading straight into this first game. We're on to Summoner's Rift once more here in the VCS, and 𝘀𝗈, we have some very interesting team comps in front of us. What are you thinking?
So the first thing that comes to mind is 𝘀𝗀ry has a clear plan for this week 1, and they are not deviating from this plan. As the analyst pointed out, maybe coated on 𝗁 is actually something Flash managed to force them into instead of the hard hyper carry. But everything else, I wrote down the champion pool, which was stable ADC, roaming mid laner, playmaking jungler, mostly assassins. This is actually the first Lee Sin, so a little bit different in terms of late game execution and damage profile, but still a lot of early agency for 𝘁𝗀. So the core of the composition is very much what they liked to do. Maybe ADC, maybe top lane and support a little bit different, but other than that, I'm super excited to see this team. They have been amazing. 4-0, perfect score so far, and if they go 2-0 today, I think you have to put them number 1, which is absolutely ridiculous.
But it's good to see, right? Like, a lot of people will use it as an excuse, and I encourage you to do it. As a play-by-play, I encourage you to clown on our analysts for being wrong. But memes aside, it's good that we're wrong, because it shows that the league is growing and that new teams are coming into strength and finding the way that they want to play. I don't want to see 𝘀𝗀ry being perennial losers, so it's good that they've finally decided to step up, and step up they have, well, rather, Flash have, as 𝘁 burns a Flash level 1.
Oh, 𝘁 were in huge trouble, and I think they played this bot lane a little bit too aggressively. Alistar is barely a champion level 1. And Rakan has his most important spell already, so you should probably stay back a little bit more. Now, no flash for 𝘁. There's always the potential for flash Rakan engaged, even though it's hard to land that on a Math if she has a Strut stacked. But yeah, this is now an opportunity, maybe even for a dive for Dante to come in. He's on top side right now, so not really in the vicinity, but the flash is down for a long time. So you might set up another full clear from top side to bot side, or might try to invade the bot side into a bot lane dive. So this is the first opportunity for a play. Top lane also struggling for coated, pushing in a little bit too much and now under threat, because that's a long lane and that's a 𝗁 against Irelia, where you always have to step back and play it super carefully. Because if she ever gets on top of you, stacks up her passive,
You're
and
in
you're
trouble.
mini 𝗁, yes, you are.
You are in real trouble. Just to touch on the flashpoint, hang on, we have a bit of a
good
gank
stun.
coming in. It's a lovely stun into the spear. Blazes has to flash, but he has a very clever rune prison there to stop Dante getting on top of him. He's moving back forward now because now 𝘁𝗀 has moved on in, but can't get close enough to land the Q. Will just ensure the Rise has a safe back.
Clutched fingers there from Blazes, super fast on the combination of EW in this case. Not EQ, even though he's the EQ champion, but Dante gets away.
He did it with his fingers, not his forehead. It's Harvey TP's back. This is a bit of a fight, but look at the early roam. You can't do this 𝘀𝗀ry, and they know it.
Yeah, now this puts pressure on the top side of 𝘀𝗀ry, though the top side of 𝘀𝗀ry is the most impressive part of this team, so it should be no problem whatsoever for 𝘁𝗀 to coordinate with his 2 solo laners to get this 𝘁𝗀𝗃 on the top side. So the teleport looked almost like an overinvestment, but it was just a teleport back to lane. Dante?
Moving in, Dante has to flash. This Nidalee suddenly much less powerful here in the early game.
Yep. It's no... to be fair to Nidalee, she doesn't really need her flash in most situations, so not too big of a deal. It's not a J4 flash or something like that, so she can still make some of the ganks happen. She can, of course, still power farm through her jungle, but she is vulnerable to a potential 2-man invade, so she has to be careful, has to look at all the lane positioning, and here we have the all-in we were talking about earlier. This should just be a kill.
Yeah, it should be. There's nothing 𝘁𝗀 can really do here. Yoshino can just keep walking at him. Doesn't really matter how long it takes as long as he keeps that passive stacked up. 𝘁𝗀 is buying a hell of a lot of time.
No.
And Yoshino, you can't let this happen. Please hit the stun. There it is. And the dirtiest kill steal from Dante.
Wow, that is no flesh burn for Coated, fair enough, but TP now out of lane. He tried to escape with the TP, probably a very low probability play, and even if it works, is it worth it? I'm not even sure if it's worth it, because now you have to walk back into lane in shame. You lose possibly 2 minion waves, and yeah, as I said, the possibility of it working is super low. So I think he should have just accepted death and played it more defensively for the rest of the game. But now he's far behind in experience, but also in gold from the minions. So this is going to be a rough start for Coated on the top lane.
Yeah, and let's have a look at how this one comes out. It starts off incredibly cleanly from 𝘂cie𝗰𝗋 stacking up that Conqueror, but then things get a little bit silly.
I mean, it's exactly what can't happen in the Gnar against Aurelia matchup. You pushed up too far, you get caught by an E, and then you're just dead, because there's no way for Gnar to escape the Aurelia. Well,
what do you think about
looks
taking the kill from
dirty.
Dante? What do you think about that, though? Do you think that 𝘂cie is such an early game jungler? Does getting her to that Hextech alternator justify the steal?
Yeah, I think it's actually not that bad of a move, because of course it also generates more gold for your team, right? It's an assisted kill for First Blood. That's 200 more gold for free, basically. And yeah, the Aurelia I'm sorry. The Aurelia is in a good situation already because of all the minions she denied, because of the 1v1 advantage she has regardless. And 200 gold still go into her pockets. So I think this is actually quite a good choice here to give the kill over to Dante. There was still a flash for Coated available. I don't think there was anything he could have done to get away. So we have a little bit more of a squabble in the mid lane, but should be alright.
Yeah. They're okay, but now the realms are being warped as Coated has walked down the river and they want to crush a cat. Gets a big smite for some healing, and there's the Vanguard's edge. 𝘂cie𝗰𝗋 diving in. The first kill will go over regardless. The perfectly timed Mega Gnar into the wall, into the stun, but 𝘂cie𝗰𝗋 will not say die. He gets a double, and Coated wonders where his team's gone.
𝘂cie𝗰𝗋 wants to win a game today against 𝘀WWE. He's putting on the carry pants. No Gragas today. It is Aurelia time, and he is popping off 2-0 already. This Aurelia
Friend
is
of the
gonna
stream, 𝘂cie𝗰𝗋. It's what happens, players. If you want to be this good, you've got to just come join our Discord.
We love to see it, and he's really putting on a show now. This engage is actually pretty bad for Team Flash to begin with, because now 𝘂𝗵𝗋 is completely useless. He has his ultimate, he has no mana, he's pushed under tower, so he's not really in the game right now. But Dante with a clutch smite buys so much time that 𝘂cie𝗰𝗋 gets to go in there. And it's the perfect opportunity to just kill absolutely anyone.
Wait.
𝘂𝗋.
We have round two as we're coming back in immediately, and it's 𝘂cie𝗰𝗋 once again surging forward. It will be Dante that picks up the kill, though. As teleports were expended, it's a scrap in the mid.
And Team Flash just showing up proactively, not falling behind like they've done in almost every game. They have minus 2k gold average at 15 minutes. But this game, it's not going to be that way, because they already had almost 2k, but there's another fight. Dante still no flash. And they get the stun.
And Blazers has his as they move forward. There's a Lee Sin ult, but 𝘂𝗋 did get stunned up, so couldn't really follow up on it. The bullet time will take Dante down to a sliver of health, but the cat survives.
He gets away again. 𝘂cie𝗰𝗋 is here to defend everyone. No one really wants to fight with him. He can just exert so much pressure in the mid lane. I say no one wants to fight, but there they come.
Oh, they certainly want to fight your way. You can't say that a VCS team does not want to fight. Just won't find the opportunity now, but we are now in a situation where Flash has this 1.5k gold lead at 8 minutes. Moving into the Rift Herald, 𝘂cie𝗰𝗋 incredibly strong. This should be an objective picked up easily for them.
Yeah, 𝘀𝗋 deciding against contesting this Rift Herald, even though they had River Vision, so giving
Good
up
decision,
this objective for now. And I think they're going to get at least one plating in bot lane, maybe even one plating and a favorable recall, but he has to be careful, Coated, that is in top lane, because 𝘂cie𝗰𝗋 is already walking back in. Fortunately for Coated, or I should say, well played for Coated to go to Mega Gnar, so he's more safe and can just walk away, pushed on the wave, so gives Flash the perfect reset timing, but also doesn't lose too much tempo on the top lane wave. One plating in the bot lane in exchange. So overall, still a winning play for Team Flash, but I think this was the correct choice for 𝘀𝗀 to not go for another super explosive and probably
Game
disadvantageous fight.
Yeah, I like the decision not to send good money after bad, as they just pull back. They know they'll have more opportunities to fight as the game goes on, as their rise scales up. He is in a good position, 10 CS up. over 𝘁𝗵, though of course 𝘁𝗵 is being supplemented by the few assists that he has and just the general lead of his team. 𝘀𝗀, if you are 𝘀UE right now, you give up that Rift Herald, but when are you looking to bite back?
So the most important part is not losing a tower with the Rift Herald now, which is hard to ensure, because, I mean, your towers are all pretty healthy, all on 5 plates, so you haven't actually given up any tower gold at all, so it should be possible to counteract a potential tower commitment, maybe even get some counter kills if they try to go for a dive or anything. So that's your number one priority. In terms of looking further ahead in the game, 𝘀𝗀.
He's in a lot of trouble, but the Realm Warp will go off. He gets away. They couldn't stop him. Dante wants to find the spear, but 𝘀𝗀's with the fancy footwork, gets away from the feather, and he gets on out of there.
𝘀𝗀 is on point today. He has been on point the whole week, but those little sidesteps and mechanics he has shown so far, at the very first time he got ganked, and now again, wow, 𝘀𝗀 does not want to lose either. To be fair, the rise is all about movement, and so far he's looking clean on that one.
Yep, Dante moving now up to 𝘀𝗀. They want to drop the Rift Herald. We'll summon it up. 𝘀𝗀 uses it as a chance to try and build up a little bit of his 𝘁𝗁. This has been a mistake as Dante's just been cleaned on out. And now is 𝘂𝗀 in trouble. He's a Fed Irelia, but it doesn't matter as he just gets stunned up and killed.
The bounce house. But this is exactly what I was talking about. They countered the very predictable top lane push perfectly. That's 3 platings in favor. 𝘀𝗀 wants to go for another. 𝘁𝗵, no mana.
Yeah, he's so dead. Not what you want at all.
The plays are so well coordinated for 𝘀𝗀, even from behind. They are punishing the flash timing so insanely well. Look at 𝘁𝗵, his flash is up. But if you go back to the replay, his flash was on 2 or 3 seconds cooldown there. So absolutely no way for him to get away. Just perfectly coordinated, and 𝘀𝗀 is striking back quickly.
Yeah, let's have a look at this top lane play. Dante, as you said, just dropped the Rift Herald a little bit too early without knowing what was around him.
Yeah, just skipping a few steps, not clearing the vision. He was in full vision, and 𝘂𝗀 go overcommitting into this counter dive, and no one can help him there. Perfect CC coordination. Look at this flash timer. You can now actually see how close it was, unfortunately, in the replay, but it was... 𝘁𝗵 thought he was safe because his flash was on 3 or 4 seconds, and they punished him in the exact moment he was unable to move or cast spells because of his mana pool.
We did see during that replay in the picture-in-picture, 𝘁𝗵 used his teleport to move down towards this bottom side. Didn't actually get much out of it in the end, other than I think they might have got the tower plate. He did have to flash. Wow, that's a bit of a disaster. The Syndra really overcommitting flash. They were ahead, and I feel like they really thought they needed to get more ahead, and I don't know if I agree.
Yeah, I feel like Flash can blame themselves a little bit for this, of course. They certainly made some mistakes. But it's mostly 𝘀𝗀's very good play that brought them back here. And yeah, I think the biggest mistake for Flash was just dropping the Rift Herald so early and so preemptively. There's no pressure on you really to do it so quickly and trying to skip steps there, because 𝘂𝗀's perma push can just threaten the kills all the time. He's now actually behind in experience against 𝘀𝗀, and suddenly the top lane, oh, never mind.
Realm Warp in! G'day, 𝘁𝗵! That was just a Lee Sin delivery service with his best pal Alistar and Ryze. There's nothing 𝘁𝗵 can do there.
Well, these players! This team is amazing!
Never mind. 𝘀𝗀 was tagged up there, but they didn't go in, and I agree with you. This is not the same 5 players we would have expected coming into this split, as now 𝘂𝗀 has been tagged up by Lee Sin, but a very easy disengage there for him. But they are forced so far back. 𝘀𝗀, they're playing together. They're the men with Plen, and they are having a great time.
Yep, and so proactive, but also precise. We don't really see precision too often.
Oh, Vit's
This
dead.
is unfortunately the price they have to pay. Sometimes, yeah, we saw glimpses of that even in the level 1. They're not quite comfortable on the Rakan matchup, it seems, and this dive, he should have just stepped away. Oh, there's a teleport though, the late teleport, we love to see it. It's the VCS special.
It's just coded, though. He has to play it very careful because he is still in a 1v2 for a little while without much 𝗀𝗃 built up, but it is just a Jhin. And now 𝘀𝗀 arrives. The real raid boss is here, 𝘀𝗋. He's got to have his mechanics on point as he tries to find the way out of here using that flash. Vanguard's edge as 𝘀𝗍 will bomb him away, but it's a good knock up into W from Jhin. But into the wall they go. The big boy Gnar has taken one down. It's traded back immediately. On the other side, we have 𝘀𝗰𝗏 deciding he wants to go nowhere near that. But the collapse is on 𝘀𝗋 as 𝘀𝗀 have taken one step too far, and they will fall.
This time 𝘀𝗀 thought they could get away with murder. They teleport insanely aggressive from Coated. I'm not sure. Maybe he didn't check his own 𝗀𝗃 because that was not the timing on Gnar to come in. No CC whatsoever. He dealt a lot of damage with his initial Q. Yeah, I mean the old angle that maybe you should just kill the wave if you try to survive a 1v2. That's not the greatest. I'm not sure why we replayed that instead of the fight, but maybe we get a fight replay either way. And now suddenly Flash back ahead. This game is so explosive, so many plays left, right and center, and both teams trying to make the best of it. But this is what's going to happen when you play super aggressively, when you use your flashes and ults aggressively. If you then overstep later...
He's in trouble as 𝘀𝗰𝗏 goes on a journey to follow him, but they don't have the damage, not quite. As they now back off as the Rift Herald is on the table.
Okay, 𝘀𝗰𝗏's Q is heat seeking. That is not fair. He's hitting every single Q. He's putting on a show as well. Only 2-2-2. Not the greatest game we've seen from him in terms of stats, in terms of KDA especially, but still very impressive mechanically. Has made some amazing plays. The kick flash in the top lane to kill 𝘀𝗀 and start the bounce house. Great adaptation, and then also his slipperiness, his nimbleness on this champion he looks very well practiced.
He certainly does. Something we really do expect out of our VCS junglers is being able to play a mean Lee Sin. All of them can do it, some better than others, and 𝘀𝗰𝗏 is trying to write his name right at the top of that list as his team looks to continue their undefeated streak, but it is Flash in the lead at the moment with the Vision lead in the topside river. 𝘀𝗀, I don't think you want to go in on this one. 𝘀𝗰𝗏, he's trying to be solid snake here. They find Dante. He does miss a Q. Finally, it's a bit of a disaster as well, as now they've got to get out of here. Everything misses onto Dante. He's still alive, 𝘀𝗋. He will finally fall. But on the other side, 𝘀𝗀𝑥 has been found. He has been taken down. Coded has to carry this fight. He's about to go big. He's got a lot of walls. That's a big bullet time as well. The shutdown coming in as 𝘀𝗀 turned the fight into their favor.
The territory really not great for Flash to follow up in the fight. 𝘁𝗔 tried to get into the fight and then he overcommitted because he was just on the wrong side. He's seeing his team struggle on the other side of the wall, and then he really wanted to get there, but once he arrived, immediately the big bad Gnar, the dinosaur, pushed him into the wall. No chance for him to do anything, and suddenly 𝘀𝗀 wins the next fight and the next objective. It's back and forth, 9-10 in kills. We are more than 1 kill per minute. This is VCS. Or we expect it to go.
This is the pinnacle of the VCS. Let's have a look at how this one started out. It was a Dante escape, or at least a lot of
𝘁𝗔 now on the other side, really trying to contribute to his team. He's walking up. He knows he can't really walk there because it's so risky, but he just disregarded his own safety and walked straight into it. I think he got one auto attack off and then immediately pushed into the wall, executed by 𝘁𝗏. Not the greatest positioning for 𝘁𝗔, but honestly his team just didn't coordinate with him before the fight started, so then it was just a rush decision, and that always leads to disaster. So suddenly the game is much closer again, but 𝘀𝗀 is still behind, so Flash carrying their lead at least into the 19-minute mark.
Yeah, they've carried it cleanly, right, 𝘀𝗋? I'm sure that's what we're getting at. As it has been a messy one, and we have more action coming in, but 𝘁𝗏 with a good Gale Force will get away from the rampaging Predators out of the jungle. But this will be the mid lane tower picked up here for Flash, opening the map up really nicely for them, allowing them to continue to build this lead as the game goes on. But there is a Rift Herald bot.
Yeah, that's a big overcommitment for 𝘀𝗀, so they can't get this tower because they lost the mid tower basically for free just because, and they had the Rift Herald. You should always trade up with the Rift Herald. If you can get this tower though, that's a lot of gold funneled into Blazes and 𝘀𝗀. Actually, 𝘀𝗀 taking the tower because he's safer. They share the gold, that's good for them, but now the collapse is coming. Flash looking for an angle, and 𝘁𝗏 has a potential engage here.
Ooh,
Never
yeah,
mind,
they're going to go
𝘁𝗏
straight
gets
in
one.
onto Dante. 𝘁𝗏 has arrived. 𝘁𝘀 bearing down on the enemy jungler as he boots the bird, but can't follow up with the Q. The Realm Warp forward will be denied by 𝘁𝗶𝗶𝗋, and the situation's diffused.
And 𝘂𝗔 died in top lane to 𝘁𝗏. 𝘁𝗏 turning around the bad early game, and suddenly he's dominating the late matchup.
𝘁𝗏 caught out, lit on fire. 𝘁𝗔 has to find a way from the rampaging members of 𝘀𝗀cie as they come in. They want to avenge his AD carry. He breaks his nose. The mask was getting in the way of his eyes, apparently, but he does a lot of damage before he goes down. 𝘁𝗏, he dumps, he dodges, and he gets on out of there your way. And now it's Dante focused down. They throw the boomerang. He goes gold. It's merely going to buy time as he falls over. 𝘁𝗶𝗶 gets a stun onto 𝘁𝗍𝗋s, but largely meaningless as the Blue Man group is here.
And we are throwing mud around. It's dirty, it's ugly, but some of the mechanics in this game are just amazing. This could just be a highlight reel for Killer Queen Lee Sin. Some of the most insane mechanics I've seen in pro play. How does he always slip away? This looks like Canyon Lee Sin. Who is this player? Where is he coming from? He was great in his initial split, but this is a whole nother level. 𝘂𝗔 is here though.
𝘂𝗔, he's been gnarred into the wall your way. He wanted the hero play, but he's just been immediately killed. It does stop the Baron, though. Even just buying those few seconds makes them reconsider.
And let's look at this solo kill. 𝘂𝗔 getting caught out by this, and 𝘁𝗏 just getting the better of him. 𝘂𝗔 not able to land the E, and look at him. He hasn't landed a single instance of damage. Now 𝘁𝗏 is already halfway to his 𝘂𝗏, so that's why the kiting is beautiful. Great ranged top laner play there from 𝘁𝗏, getting his revenge late on in the game.
Yeah, that was really fantastic there. The auto spacing and a bit of orb walking almost coming in there. It's exactly what you want to see out of 𝘁𝗏. Not much that 𝘂𝗔 could do. Now we have 𝘀𝗀cie back ahead, taking back this lead. It's only 1,000 gold, but considering where they were in the early game, that is a lovely thing to see as we now have 𝘁𝗏 7-2.
So this is too risky a point to make in this super high octane game. I just spotted 𝘁 maxing W over Q. I've never seen an MF do that. I'm not sure if that's a thing, but he's very scared. He wants the movement speed.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it also makes sense if you are going this press the attack Kraken Slayer, it gives you attack speed as well. I assume that's the logic. I'm not a huge MF player, so I don't really know, but 𝘁𝗏 has been caught out. 𝘁𝗍𝗋 has arrived as well, used that Realm Warp to get close, and that is a dead support your way, and now they can look again towards the Baron, but they're not interested. They want to keep the fight going.
Killer Queen is too good. Ban his Lee Sin. This is such a horror to watch from the ADC or any 𝘀𝗋cie perspective, because this Lee Sin gets all the angles correct. He messes up no combo ever. He gets all the kick flashes absolutely cleanly. What a monster performance from Killer Queen in this game. And all of his team members too. The top side once again looking incredibly crisp.
Oh, look at the bullet time. There was a slight moment where maybe Flash could have pulled the trigger on a somewhat caught out 𝘁𝗍𝗋s, but the response from H32 and 𝘁𝗏 was just too good as they zoned them out and they even take down the kill on this Syndra. And it just looks like 𝘀𝗀cie have just taken the game over.
I'm also very impressed by H32. He has been leaving 𝘁 behind in lane a little bit, and 𝘁 died to it, which some ADCs would like to blame on the ADC, but realistically, 𝘁 could have just ulted the wave and would have been safe, so that's more on 𝘁 than anyone else, and 𝘁 is the one struggling on this team. Only 16% damage share, as 𝘁𝗏 wants me to shut up, because he wants another fight.
That they do, and 𝘂𝗔 has been tagged up. Killer Queen jumping forward, can't keep up with the flash though. 𝘁𝗔's going to be the next target. He's very exposed, but Killer Queen's a little bit too low to go forward into that one as the gates are open. The bullets rain through, but oh my word! He bends the bullet your way and finds the kill onto Killer Queen. A disaster for 𝘀𝗀cie.
It's a big dragon fight now, and 𝘁𝗏 wants to extend this one.
Flash, they smell blood in the water and the sharks are surging as they pick up a second. They're not looking at Dragon though your way. They're aiming for the Baron.
They're looking at the purple worm, but a little bit hesitant there. The Baron damage isn't the greatest, so
mixed comms here, I think. Objective. Just go Dragon.
Yeah, the safer objective. 𝘁𝗰𝗋 has been dead for a long time too, so if you take too long, he might be there. And with his Lee Sin performance so far, I would fancy him for a steal as well. So I think that's the maybe lower risk, but probably better decision overall if you just take everything into consideration. 𝘁𝗰𝗋, he tries to go for another one. Coated, not able to really extend his own this fight, because, yeah, he's just small now, he can't really do much. And how'd that hit? 917 damage. And suddenly 𝘀𝑠ury's on the Baron.
Yeah, this is something we see all the time, not just in the VCS, it actually happens in leagues all around the world. You lose a fight, they take a little bit too long to go get the objective they want, and then you just catch them on the recall. They have to recall after the objective and the fight, so you just, okay, fine, we've got 30 seconds to take Baron. It only takes 25.
I'm getting dizzy from all the seesawing we have in this game. This is... wow. I don't think we've seen such a back and forth game so far. I mean, some of the games were disasters and fiestas with Rose, but this is absolutely ridiculous. Back and forth.
Oh, we have a 1v1 and bang! Into the wall!
𝘁𝗀 really losing steam. 𝘁𝗏 getting caught there. Can they kill him? Nope, Blazes no mana. They have the Baron buff though, and mid lane is being pushed already.
Yep, bit of damage onto 𝘁𝗀. Heal is used to keep them safe, but with the Jhin ultimate coming out, you know they want to move forward. But it's just a Nidalee and a Rakan to try and get through a big old meat boy of an Alistar. And I don't think they can do it. They're just clearing waves, but it's all falling apart.
Vid with a little bit of a better decision there to walk towards topside instead of putting extra pressure on the mid lane. He still gets the tower, so that's fine. I think he could have maybe pressured mid lane even more in that push. Now 𝘁𝗁 getting caught, double stunned. H has his ultimate, so he should be fine. And in the end, it's just one inner turret. Not really the price you want to get with the Baron. Still 1.5 minutes remaining though, so we might see another attempt at the mid, or at the top outer turret, or inner turret I should say. That's probably the #1 target. That's another 600 gold in your pockets. You want to get as far ahead as possible with this first dragon and then set up the second Baron win condition.
That is the ideal plan, but we'll have to see how well they execute on it. We know that sometimes our teams are not very good with the old restraint your way. And this game still has a lot of life in it, as we still have several layers of towers to get through before any Nexus is under threat, despite this Baron buff being very well utilized for 𝘀𝑠ury. I'm going to ask you to do something quite difficult your way. How does Flash fight back in this one? Oh, not like that.
They have insane engage potential, and 𝘁𝗀 has been scaling up. He's pretty strong now. I think 𝘂𝗏 unfortunately has fallen behind the curve. He would have really liked to have the Sterix at this point to be a little bit tankier, because right now he's just getting burst down. But you still have insane long-range engage potential with 𝗁𝗏 𝘁𝗀 combination. Then just go target by target, try to get one target at a time, disengage again, kite around Blaze's range, because you can't ever fight straight up against Blazes. He's almost level 16. But he is a low-range mage, so just try to get away from him, try to stay away from Coated's Megana, and then just fight the small fights, the small engagements, one by one, and get as many picks as possible.
The slow crush comes in from 𝘀𝑠ury. The walls are closing in around Flash. I like what I'm seeing. Just each lane slowly being moved in. I think you could perhaps assign them a little bit better, but Coated, he doesn't get much better as he's almost killed 𝘂𝗏. Is now in a 1v5 though. I think this Gnar is not long for the world. We'll get a big shield into the bullet time. Don't think that's going to work out, but with a Realm Warp it is. 𝘁𝗁 now on the run. They're going very, very low, but Team Flash are doing well. They've got some decent health bars on their carries. 𝘀𝑠ury do need to move away. 𝘁𝗀 gets tagged up, but he will just continue firing the shots in.
Okay, Coated getting ahead of himself a little bit, and another double TP. They don't want to stop. It never stops.
And they shouldn't. This is a good decision. This is a good decision. Throw things at the wall and see what sticks. You're far behind. What was the blast cone? A disastrous decision there. 𝘁𝗁 going low. 𝗁𝗏 hitting a good stun from Blazers. And now 𝘁𝗁's got to run away, but he's on the wrong side of the tracks your way. It's gone wrong for 𝘀𝑠ury.
They can't, I don't think Flash can really accomplish much here, because they're so far away from the enemy base. and they're not a lot of time bought by 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀. They are going to get another dragon, and that moves them to the potential 𝘀𝗲. But 𝘀𝗲 is still so far away. In this game, 5 minutes are like 10 minutes in any other game, because in 5 minutes we probably have 10 to 15 kills. So nothing decided yet. This fight was a huge punch for Team Flash, and it all started with the overextension from 𝘀cie getting ahead of himself. A little bit too aggressive. He thought he could maybe handle even more than 2 people collapsing on him. That was not the case. And now 𝘀cie needs to recollect themselves, go back to the drawing board, and acknowledge that Flash's champions are actually getting stronger. You can't just walk in there for free anymore.
And what goes wrong here? Yeah, Vit A-clicked. That's all that happened. He A-clicked himself into the middle of Flash's team. Disastrous decision.
I don't think you can A-click blast cones.
Think you can? I mean, come on, 𝘀cie. I'm trying to give him an excuse. It has to be an A-click, right? He
He's
didn't
not
do it
getting
on
away
purpose.
with that. He's not getting
He
away
didn't
so
do it on
easily. I don't think you
purpose.
can A-click. I didn't think you can A-click blast cones. That's... maybe someone could confirm. I don't think so. So he clicked on that. Not deliberately. I don't want to say that, but it was an even bigger mistake than just A-clicking at the wrong spot.
Well, thankfully for 𝘀cie, they are still ahead despite some mishaps. 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶 managed to get away from that Rakan W. Jhin ultimate, once again, mostly just being used for poke. No insane snipes this time. But Baron has returned to the map 𝘀cie, and this is where you said they needed to fight.
Yeah, but now... Oh, 𝘀cie, what have you done?
𝘀cie, I mean, he did Rakan things. We have the clip. We know what he does on Rakan. He likes to throw, he likes to int. That was a shocker, and it's just going to give 𝘀cie Baron.
So, to be fair to him, he didn't have any vision and very good coverage from 𝘀cie. 𝘀cie doesn't want the Baron, they want 𝘁𝗔.
And I don't blame them for it. Bullet time will come over the top, but it's just going to deal damage. Not lethal. There it is, finally. It will take down Dante, and 𝘀cie flashing forward takes down the enemy AD carry. No! It was a little bit of healing. The summoner heal manages to keep 𝘁𝗔 alive.
They wanted 𝘁𝗔, they get everything else. I'm not sure if they're happy with that. Sometimes when you get a present you didn't expect, you might be even happier than with the one you were wishing for, but now it's Baron on top of that, and that should break the inhibitor line. But 𝘁𝗶𝗵, it's Syndra. He's very far behind, but it's still Syndra. We've seen Syndra steals. And there's no smite in the enemy team.
But there is a coded to keep him back. They do it well. Baron buffs 𝘂, but he can't blast cone back over. 𝘀cie really not having good luck with blast cones today, as they do have to send in their sacrificial Gnar, meaning they only get out of there with 3 Baron buffs.
So that costs them 50 seconds with Flashes. More members on the map can push out the waves. So this Baron suddenly not looking as great as it did before, because that should only be at most 1 inhibitor, and now Flash is eyeing that soul. So everything Flash does is aimed at trying to set up the soul. 𝘁𝗔 taking this crap maybe a little early even for my liking. As we see 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶. What exactly, when did this happen?
This is how the fight started off. This was the initial fight before the 𝘁𝗏 end.
Alright, so it's a good chase, a good collapse on 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶, but he's way too slippery to die to that. And then 𝘁𝗏 just walks in. Even though he knows everything. Okay,
Can't do that. You just can't do that.
I tried to cut him some slack with the vision, but he saw them all disappear in this direction. So I'm not sure why he thought they were all gone. 𝘁𝗔 getting away from this is absolutely insane.
Look at this MF ult though, just shredding down Dante.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have damage numbers in the VCS. I would have really liked to see the MF damage in this game, in this fight specifically, because there has to be something like 5-6k just from the ultimate. Or to free fire on 2 targets for the whole duration. We almost never see that happen.
𝘀𝗰𝗶, we have 41 kills here in 33 minutes. It's a bit of a slow one for
And we also
the
have
VCS.
30 minutes on the clock. It's the first time for me this year. Oh, this split, I should
Insane.
say.
For the split, for sure. This is a long game here in the VCS. I'm almost getting a little bit tired. No, I'm joking. Of course, how could you when watching a game like this? But as we do move into late game, Yoshino has activated his demonic powers. The Demon King is 6-6-6. So, of course, he will be able to carry the rest of his team. But in all seriousness, 𝘁𝗔 7-2. 4 items built up on this Jhin. He is a real threat, but is matched by his opposing number in Vit. Battle of the AD carries is looking fairly likely.
And target selection is a really tough puzzle to solve here for Team Flash, because there's so many priority targets. 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀, if you don't kill him, he's going to annoy you, he's going to CC you, he's going to deal more damage than you'd expect. 3 items stun. Of course, the main carry in fights is Blazes, but then 𝘁 deals insane amounts of damage and CC as well. So I don't think you can even just say we need to kill 𝘁 and then we're good, because 𝘁 is hard to kill. He has Bloodthirst and Stopwatch, but he's also not really the main DPS carry of his team. He does contribute a lot of DPS, more than he has in many other games, as Flash will sacrifice this dragon, moves away from the win condition. This, of course, doesn't really do much for 𝘀cie, so it doesn't really bring them closer to a win, and the Baron buff has subsided, so nothing for them to accomplish with those
𝘀cie, we're seeing a
objectives.
40-minute game.
Very
We're
likely,
going to
this
see a 40-minute game. There's no locus for a fight until that Baron, which is coming up in just under 3 minutes. We're going to 40 minutes. This is a rarity in the VCS.
Okay, now that you've said it, you've cursed it, because of course we know objectives are nice. Objectives are means to an end, a certain end. That end is to force a fight. And you can also just force a fight without objectives, so I'm not convinced
True.
we're going to 40 minutes yet. There's still 4 minutes left, and every second there could just be a fight like this, where 𝘁𝗵 gets caught.
But he does manage to get away. It's a good flash over the wall, getting away from the Realm Warp. The bullet time doesn't do much of anything as well, as 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 goes so deep. But 𝘁𝗏 with a well-done W will stop any follow-up from the jungler.
Flash down for 𝘁𝗵. Now he can't step out of his own base at all. I think he should just stay behind the tower. It sucks if you're mid laner, you want to farm, you want to get to level 17, 18 and get to your last items, but at this point you have to stay behind the towers. If you die, your team probably loses the game, and you're not the main carry. 𝘁𝗀 is. 𝘁𝗀 is scaled to 1,500 damage crits. So you as a Syndra are just there to set him up. And yeah, don't risk the game over some greedy farm.
Yeah, I'm sure the analyst desk will have a lot to say about a Syndra pick. Rebel, I know, is a huge fan of it after all. 𝘁𝗀 is the carry, though, as you're saying. This is a hard one to call 𝘀𝗀. As we've made pretty clear, 40 minutes is foreign territory in the VCS. But I think it's territory that can favor our teams. It's where mechanics begin to shine.
I mean, the mechanics have shown the whole game, this game. Amazing fights. Not much macro to be talked about. Like, what has ever happened in terms of macro? Maybe missed decisions. Over pushing for the bot lane inhibitor was a bad macro decision. And then the Baron Rush may be a good one. But apart from that, it's all fights, it's all mechanics. And especially the players in 𝘀𝗀ie have shown us some great examples of their skill. Blazes and 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 come to mind, but also 𝘁 with good positioning after a rough early game. And 𝘁 really showing up in this game, only 16 to 17% damage share as an ADC that's insanely low. He's only played Jhin and MF, and those champions don't really deal damage, so it makes sense. But in this game, he's going to up his percentage by a huge margin.
For sure, and 𝘁 is a player that, you know, when we saw the pickup, we were very suspect of. Not someone that impressed us in the first chapter of his career, but so far it does look like a redemption, particularly here in this game as 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹 starts up the Baron. This could be a game-deciding fight 𝘀𝗶𝗶. It should end the game. The fight should end the game. It's just a matter of how long the fight takes. As 𝘁32 jumps in, they go immediately onto 𝘁𝗏. They used a lot of ultimates there, though, 𝘀𝗀. They have the Realm Warp left available as they're coming forward. It's a really good knock aside there by 𝘁𝗵. Really, really lovely stuff. 𝘁32 goes low. He will have no more part in this fight as 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹 will fall as well. 𝘁𝗀 kiting it back well. 𝘁𝗵 gets found, he gets taken down, and 𝘁 charging forward has to be careful as Dante goes away, heals up on the 𝘁𝗶𝗏. Yoshino very low, still has that Guardian Angel though, as 𝘁𝗀 trying to heal as much as he possibly can. The double up is there, but here comes the Terminator. He did not have GA. I apologize, I misread my visuals. It was 𝘁𝗀 with GA. He will go down, but there will be no hope of redemption here for this Jhin. The shutdown is here, the teleports are being used, and 𝘀𝗀, is it going to be 40 minutes? They need to take 40 seconds to end. It's not going to happen.
No 40 minutes allowed on our screen. We had 30 minutes already. Yeah, the union can't allow 40. But Blazes in this fight Blaze, I'm so amazed.
Hang on,
Oh,
they're trying
never
to make something happen as they do manage to kill the Rise. Coded now trying to cut it back, but with Vit arriving, I don't think they have much of a hope. 6 seconds left on Harvey. 𝘀𝗋, they may well hold this. There's no minions here. The tower does fall. 𝘀𝗋 is trying to buy as much time as he can as he goes golden. Dante's in trouble, will be found. They just need to auto-attack the Nexus. How has 𝘀𝗀cie getting into this scenario 2 games in a row 𝘀𝗋 as they're desperately trying to finish a game? They managed to stabilize a triple kill for Coded. We hit 40 minutes and we hit 𝘀𝗀cie continuing their undefeated streak.
40 minutes, 50 kills, VCS in a nutshell. What a crazy game to start the day. 𝘀𝗀cie looked pretty rough in the early game, but some of the individual mechanics just absolutely amazing. That last team fight, I want to see a breakdown later. Maybe not immediately in this analyst desk, but maybe some bigger feature, because what Blazes did there in terms of movement and dodging abilities was some of the most amazing Rise play I've seen in a long, long while. Whew. I did not expect to start the day with a 40-minute banger. 50 kills. That should be a new record for this split, at least. And
It should
we need
be.
a break.
We certainly do. We will be going to a break. And I think just before we do, our resident analyst 𝘀𝗋 just has one thing to point out, but we'll see you in 5 minutes.
Welcome back, everybody, to the VCS Analyst Desk, where we get a chance to talk over what was one of our more exciting games in the entirety of the split. I'm not sure that we walked into this series, and especially this game number 1, expecting that close of a contention between these two teams, but Flash certainly came to play today. Exciting stuff. Welcoming back 𝘀𝗋 and 𝘀𝗀cie. Guys, I mean, what a series that we had right there. I mean, break down that game for me, because that was some exciting stuff.
Okay, so the unexperienced viewers might have noticed some clown fiesta going on, but like we're here to tell you that it's actually not fully like that. And my experience in Italian tournaments, which are always this exciting, taught me that when these games go to the late stage and both teams have great mechanical players, the better hands win. Meaning that despite the composition, despite the early game setups, the objectives, and everything that happened before that very late game, in the end gets trumped by the better players, by who clicks button best. And we saw Blazes and Killer Queen clicking some real good buttons, and their performance was incredible, especially Blazes on this Rise combo on positioning. He was the star of this game. And also Killer Queen, marvelous engages. Yeah, sometimes some decisions were not optimal, but whatever happened as a consequence of decisions was amazing to watch.
For sure. I mean, I was really sweating considering my prediction, because we had 𝘀𝗋 who predicted Team Flash to win, and he got really close. I give him credit to that, because 𝘀𝗀cie in the early game, man, I mean, it was absolutely insane. He just 1v1 styled on Coded there, even left the kill to take over for his juggler for Dante there, so he could also snowball, despite it wasn't really his effort, it was more of 𝘀𝗀ie's personal effort, I would say. And Coded had an absolute disaster as a TP there, where he tried to TP out of there, and that cost him so much. He died anyway. He didn't TP back to lane because that was not possible for him. But the game was really not clean from both sides. But the question we need to ask here, I think, is was it just 𝘀𝗀cie playing well from behind, or was it Flash playing well from ahead? And I think the question is really up in the air.
It is the game was full of questions as to, okay, was this a good game or a bad game? I know our primary caster, 𝘀𝗋, said, okay, they played very good mechanically. I agree with that statement. Getting to watch a masterclass Rise game like what we just saw out of Blazes is always just a treat for me, being that I'm top 3 on the Chinese super server. That's right. I passed Faker, actually. I'm number 1 now. However, there were mistakes, I think, laden throughout the game. So let me pick your brain on this, gentlemen, which is kind of what I thought was the kind of ultimate description of this game, which was it felt like 𝘀𝗀cie were the ones that were making moves past maybe the 10-minute mark. The first 10 minutes were Flash making moves towards Yoshino, and they were trying to get their Aurelia ahead, and it seemed to work out okay. But from that point, it felt like 𝘀𝗀cie were the ones that were constantly making the aggression on the map and making the moves towards the side. And while Flash had good responses from time to time, did it ever really feel like they were actually, making a legitimate move towards winning the game, or just slowing down the pacing of 𝘀🐶🐰?
Personally, I think in the case of 𝘀🐶🐰, what was the real obstacle towards a win, a solid win, without all these team fights and skirmishes, I think it was their over-aggression, and sometimes they handshook some fights that were not really on their terms in terms of on positioning, or simply they just went in too deep. Killer Queen many of the time, he just Lee syndromed into some very questionable plays. So in this aspect, I want to see 𝘀🐶🐰 cleaning up a bit of their decision making when it comes to what fights they want to pick, because their composition scaled better and they had a natural advantage in these scenarios. It just didn't look like it sometimes, and I think it's something that they need to clean up. Of course, it's just the first week, but that's already some good start, some good statement, because they have shown so far that they can play snowball comp and also team fight composition. So things are climbing up nicely.
And I want to credit the resilience of Team 𝘀🐶🐰 there. I mean, they had this one moment where they just found the window, sneaked the Baron right after losing a team fight where they were over-chasing on their side. So that was something like I don't think many teams would have just had the fortitude to just do. And also I want to highlight 𝘁𝗏 a little bit. He was getting absolutely smacked in the early game by Yoshino, and he was one of the players who, I would give him the driver's license to play 𝗀, because he could totally come back to his matchup and even flip it and just solo kill Yoshino multiple times there. And I don't think many VCS top laners or top laners in general would be able to do that.
Indeed, as I said that initially, Flash still has good early setup, so that's something that I can build on. They showed it in the first game, and if I'm in Flash's shoes, I would try to do it again in the game too.
Yeah, I think giving yourselves this win condition to begin the game, or something you can play around, is when Flash really did look their best, when they had Yoshino on something that could actually start carrying. And I think giving that to themselves in further aspects, because of course once Yoshino was kind of on his own against 𝘁𝗏 took over, and there was a lot more to the game. So we'll see if that adaptation continues from Flash, who had quite a bit of good play. It was also really difficult. I know we do voting to kind of test out and prod out who is going to be our MVP for the split by totaling a number of points. We give 3, 2, 1. It's a consistent meme here that we can add it to people. In fact, 𝘀🐶🐰's 3 𝘁𝗀𝗀 was what we had last time. This was perhaps one of the hardest I think we've had all split, just because I think both supports had good games. We had junglers that had good games. 𝘀🐶🐰 had a good game. Yoshino had an okay game. 𝘁𝗏 had an amazing game. 𝘁𝗏 I think had an amazing performance. So we'll get to see who actually gets to keep up that pacing in game number 2. I do want to point out, gentlemen, this is perhaps the first iteration of Nami Lucian we've seen for the entirety of the VCS split. This has been banned or taken or split apart so many times, and it is actually going to be 𝘀🐶🐰 who are the first ones to get their hands on it.
Definitely, and I think 𝘀🐶🐰 is into maybe show why it's usually banned, because this bot lane combination is absolutely broken, I would say. I mean, it's super strong in lane. Nami can just go electrocute and just use it on the Lucian. She can basically stay almost a screen away, and Lucian can still put out this massive damage. It's a lane that has sustained. It also scales surprisingly well into the mid to late game, because Lucian, with the Imperial Mandate Nami on his back, basically just has a whole item more than the enemy ADC. This is so hard to teamfight against this. Absolute menace.
Indeed, we're getting also some killer Qiyana here. Great comfort pick for the Killer Queen. I want to follow up on what 𝘀🐶🐰 said about the Lucian Nami bot lane. In the first few minutes, 𝘁𝗏 and H32 struggle a bit into 𝘁𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗀, but with this combo, they can make sure that even their bot lane in isolation be a strong point, and something that they don't need to worry too much about. And we're seeing still that there are a wide array of top laners still available, and 𝘀🐶🐰 is red size, so they can still enable 𝘁𝗏𝗃 as they wanted to do in game 1. Now, Flash has the Graves, which is not an easy top laner to punish, given his wave clear and his insane resistances. So maybe Flash decided to blind pick the Graves to kind of put a bandage into top lane, and now we're seeing more jungle bans. Oh, the Syndra, and I like this to 𝘀𝗶𝗃𝗀𝗀, what can Flash pick next?
What can Flash pick next? I mean, they already have the Grace for Yoshino, which is one strong point for them, and they have the Syndra, the enemy team. They baited them to pick this. This is great mind control coming out from Team Flash, I would say, but jokes aside, I mean, they have the MF Lulu, which scales fine, I would say, but it's still really hard to play into Tsunami. I wonder how these trade matchups are going on there. They can, maybe just what they are now hovering is a Lissandra against a Syndra to nullify the unleashed power a little bit on their side, but Vex is also still open. Won't be easy in the laning phase against Syndra, so to say, but if she survives that, it is also a chance to have a little bit of a reset city, because the competition from Team 𝘀WWE looks really squishy so far, and now they just need to run out the comp. They can still potentially flag the Grace into the jungle, and it looks like they will actually do this, which I wouldn't have expected, with the cannon potentially for Yoshino.
Interesting way that this has all turned out in the end, because on the side of Team Flash, they've gone for incredible team fighting setup. They got two very powerful big AoE ultimates to work with between the Kennen and the Misfortune. The question mark to me, of course, is that Dante not on an attacking jungler, instead going back to what is the Graves, which is for some reason the VCS is just terrified of top Graves. For some reason, they're just not picking that whatsoever. They go for the Misfortune and Lulu to try to compete against what is this bottom lane that's coming out here. Perhaps the one piece coming into the split that I had biggest questions about from the side of 𝘀WWE. And with 𝘀cie and 𝗰𝗶𝗀 playing the way they did in the previous game, maybe they have some bearing here, gentlemen. But I need to get your opinions on the way these compositions turns out, because to me, you're talking about 𝘁𝗀 Assassin, 𝘁32, and they've got the Nami Lucian. This feels like a super powerful composition from the side of 𝘀WWE. So very quick thoughts, and let me know at the end of your statement who you think is going to take this game.
Personally, I super dislike this cannon pick. The Misfortune and the cannon are going to have a very bad time on getting closer and getting their ults up, especially against the Nami, against the Syndra, that can keep them at bay. So, and the Graves jungle, really not my pick, so I'm going with 𝘀WWE here.
It's full damage against full damage. I also don't like the cannon to the J, so, and I also think, despite the Syndra, it's a very good comp by 𝘀WWE Esports, so I have to give my vote to 𝘀WWE Esports.
Yeah, I think all of us are in unison right now talking about just how powerful of a composition and how this seems very 𝘀WWE for the entirety of the split. Will they end up our #1 team undefeated in the VCS after the first week, or can Flash take us to game 3? The only two people that I would want on cast for anything that important. 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗃.
Thank you, Rebel. I'm so honored to be the first choice. And after game 1, I think we've proven ourselves at least a little bit heading into this game. Will it be as bloody as game 1? The comps certainly suggest that it might your way.
So, 𝘁32, 𝘁𝗀. This is a little bit of a trust fall or trust test, I should say, for this team, because so far 𝘀WWE has been all about their top side. Their top side has been absolutely amazing, probably the best. I'd say the best mid-jungle at least, coated in contention for best top laner, but just their synergy, the way they play out the games, very, very stellar. Their bot lane has been lacking behind, especially 𝘁 in the ADC position. Last game he had some very good late game team fights. His early game wasn't the greatest. So now they are playing the 𝘁𝗀, and they have to be on top from start to finish in this game to make this work, because 𝘁𝗀 snowballs in either direction very quickly. Nami, of course, can deviate later. Nami, together with 𝘁𝗀, super strong combination as well. Gives her more movement speed, gives her even more burst. So we have a late invade here.
Yep, I like this. Force them back.
Sniffed. I believe 𝘀WWE sniffed it out. I don't think they actually had vision, but they walked away in time, so they might be aware of what is happening here. The Grace jungle, I still absolutely hate. Why are we still playing Grace jungle? Can we please stop? I accept Grace top lane. I know it's good, but Grace jungle, I'll never accept. I think it's just...
Yeah,
it's just a waste of time.
I agree. I feel like the things that Graves does at the moment are very much suited for being parked in a lane, not so much being the jungler, where we do need some plays to be made, etc. Is 𝘁𝗀 trying to defend that ward? I don't think he'll quite manage it, as 𝘁𝗀 is doing some... he failed the little jump over there, but they are vertical jungling, so that late invade, I should say, is not going to kill 𝘀WWE in the crib.
So what it does, though, is give Team Flash's bot lane a lot of safety. No early ganks from 𝘁𝗀 because they know where he is. So everyone should be aware of the positioning of the junglers, but Blazers might not be.
As they are moving in, Dante bearing down. It's a good fear from 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝗹𝘀, but it's also a good flash from Blaze as he gets on out of there. But 𝘁𝗀 now arriving. Doesn't quite have the right Q to throw. Has it now. Gets the stun. Dante, he's low, but he will escape just fine.
And 𝘁𝗀 hasn't taken the blue buff yet, so immediately going back to Blazes, we can see their synergy, their communication is really crisp. Immediately helps out his mid laner, pushes out the enemy jungler. Of course it's 𝘁𝗀, so 𝘁𝗀 just goes into one camp and is immediately full HP again. So it doesn't really stick too much, the damage there is, but he still forces him back in his priority over top lane Scuttle. He might have to give up one of the camps though, so right now one camp behind Graves if you count everything that has been counter jungled. It's actually even VCS, I'm a little bit confused by that, but I think Graves left one behind.
He also has... He's getting a crab as well. We'll have to figure out what's going on there as things begin to...
Oh yeah, he's one crab. Because of the crab, he's now even again, because he's taking the walls in the end. Coded also providing a lot of pressure in top lane, so no issue whatsoever. They can just continue with this vertical jungling. Now, what can break this kind of setup is if the bot lane of 𝘀�UE starts to have pressure. Because if 𝘀�UE bot lane has priority, and their jungler resets and goes into bot side, suddenly the vertical jungling is broken and he can even catch Dante completely off guard. Dante trying to go for dive.
Moving down. Looks like they want to set the dive up. It's a lovely bubble. There's just so much damage being done onto 𝘁𝗀 and 𝘁𝗏 that I don't think this is reasonable. It's kind of just working out. It's just a wave cut, and it's a Lucian Nami. This is so risky. They're just going to turn onto the Graves. That makes a lot of sense. Exhausting him to slow the damage down with 𝘁𝗀 moving forward. That will be that first kill, easily coming in. 𝘁𝗀 will answer back with one, but now he's 2v1, and he's on the wrong side of the town. Your ways, he's going low. Blazes is here. Doesn't quite hit the stun onto 𝘁𝗀. 𝘁𝗏 has actually cleaned up Nami, but 𝘁𝗏 with a double kill, looking absolutely lovely. Blazes the only one left standing.
What is going on? Okay, everyone just dies. Well, it's a 3-for-2 for Flash, so in the end they win the play. Probably, but all the kills went to 𝘁𝗏. So this is not actually the worst thing ever to happen, because it is Lulu, and Lulu scales with gold very well and nicely. We know Lulu has been played so many times as top laner, as mid laner, so she can definitely make use of this gold, but of course you would prefer the gold to go over to Dante, maybe 𝘁𝗀. So it's not... It's basically an even trade if you consider all of that. All the summoner spells are blown. Look at the bot side for both teams. Not a single summoner spell available. And how did this all transpire? I was convinced 𝘀�UE would win this, but I think they made some positioning mistakes. Let's take a look at Vid. I think he was a little bit too aggressive. He stayed back and closer to his tower, as we have another invade in live. But
it's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
so
I think
let's
Vid
keep
should have stayed on the tower. I really think Vid should have stayed on the tower, because they were both full HP with exhaust and cleanse ready and both flashes available. There's no way they can kill them, especially against Grace, who can't really tower dive because of the way his auto attacks work.
And 𝘁32 just dies to minions, by the way.
Yeah. So I think 𝘀�UE definitely had the winning setup there, but misplayed it pretty badly. So it's a testament to that.
Oh, welcome back, 𝘁𝗋. Vex has been taken down. Sorry to cut you off, but once again, 𝘁𝗋, you should know, as soon as the replay ends, it's going to be another play, because this is the VCS and it never stops. 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝗹𝘀 has been found. He has been taken down, so we're back to 3-3. It's like nothing's ever happened 𝘁𝗋. We just started a little bit accelerated, and it's round 2. Yep, there are pings on the top lane, but there's also a dive being set up here. They need to set this wave up. Dante showing himself once again. It's still risky 𝘁𝗋, particularly with no summoner spells now for their bot lane.
He's not even level 6. What are you doing?
They're going for it, is what they're doing, but they're also going for it in the mid lane. That supreme display of talent looking a little bit naff, as 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝗹𝘀's just going to walk away. Back down to the bot lane we go, as it's a bubble onto Dante, looking lovely. Vit has cleaned up one, and they need to leave this bot lane alone.
Please, guys, it's Nami and Lucian. They have full HP, and you have a Grace, the worst diving jungler in the game.
Vit!
What is going on? This game is a mess. Why did he just step up there? Ugh. Well, we trade kills across the map. And last game we thought was mud wrestling. This game, I don't know what's happening. Everyone's just throwing sand into everyone's eyes, so no one can actually see what's happening. I think that's what's going on here. Everyone just has sand in their eyes and trying to hit spells, but It's not really coming together. Wow.
I like that we just got a replay on the kill that they got on 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝗹𝘀, which I'm glad we got because we didn't see it. But that was like 3 kills ago when they finally get to the replay.
Cue the bot dive. Cue the bot dive. We haven't seen anything from our top laners here. I was really convinced 𝘀UE would go for a top dive to counteract a cross map from the bot pressure. They called it off for some reason. I'm not really sure why. They had a wave stacking up. But it seems like 𝘁𝗏 is controlling this top lane completely. We don't have a scoreboard right now, so we can't really see what it looks like in terms of CS differences. But
𝘁𝗏 needs to be careful here. He's going to rip the
Blaze.
bullet time and just dodges away from that Nami bubble in time. But still chunks onto both of them.
wow, Blaze has just refused to walk out of this. he just stared him down. Okay, I have a Nami. I don't care about your damage. I'm just going to stare you down. If you don't walk, if you don't budge, I'm going to kill you.
Oh, in comes 𝘁𝗁 with the Predator, throwing in some damage. There's the supreme display of talent, hitting it onto the tower, but there's no follow-up, and 𝘁𝗏 will survive.
So for the second time in a row, 𝘁𝗁 has missed the supreme display of talent on the same tower. This time he got the stun, but not the damage, I believe, if I saw that correctly. So this tower actually proving to be super tricky to play around with his ultimate. Wow, and 𝘁 is profiting so much from this, though. He has gotten 3 plates just for himself, and look at the gold lead, out of nowhere, 1.5k in 𝘀ue's favor. So even though some of the plays, some of the mechanics of this game, not quite as clean as last game, the macro is looking better. And top lane, we finally see the score. It's a 20 CS lead for 𝘁𝗏.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. He has been pushed in the entire time on this, Jace, doing 𝘁𝗏 things. He is pretty firmly cementing himself as in that pantheon of top laners. We sort of denied him entry when he was still on Team Secret, but this split looking to really kick down the gates of heaven, and Dante's in the tri-bush again.
𝘁𝗵𝗶𝗹𝘀 is really struggling in this game after a good early setup on Blazes, almost a kill in level 3, level 4 for the first gank. He has been picked on over and over again by 𝘁𝗁, and even though they've only killed him once, look at his CS number, 30 CS down at 10 minutes. He's struggling to keep up here.
Just absolute disaster. He is not having a good time whatsoever. Now the Predator coming in. There's a teleport as well. 𝘁𝗏 is completely dead. At least he accepted his fate. Didn't try and bait 𝘁𝗏 into helping him. This should be a dragon as well, and 𝘀uE are in a great position.
Yeah, not sure why they teleported. They haven't played Lucian Army enough to know that that was lethal every single time, probably even without the jungler. So much damage coming in there. And now Graves is forced once again to respond to the bot lane. He can't go anywhere but bot lane, and this is really not helping his solo laners. They are both struggling so much in the CS department, falling further and further behind. So this game is looking much more like what we expected from the series. 𝘀uE just looking like the better teams, the better players. But there's another TP!
Yep, they're trying to turn something around. A smoke screen is there as 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝗹𝘀 has arrived. Got a fear, but couldn't quite get the damage. Does manage it with the Shadow Surge. Will get a reset as well. But I don't think you want to go under the tower with 𝘁𝗁 there. It's lasting a while, but it has already faded. This is a good amount of damage onto the tower. It won't quite break it, though.
Oh, almost, though.
There are
Should
a
be
lot
enough
of members.
to get the tower.
We'll see, as I'm very frightened of Blazers, with a good smite there to break the Herald into that scat of the week. They do turn it around well, but it's a supreme display of talent from a long, long range to keep them back, keep them alive, and the tower still stands.
And the disengaged power from Vex is showing once again, even though this Vex has been struggling, just the instant fear on 2 or 3 targets that are trying to chase you down is so potent. We saw yesterday with 𝘁𝗏, I believe, when he stopped a full dive on the tower with just 1 Q. So this is something we have to think about a little bit more and watch out for in future Vex games, which are going to come because everyone is loving this champion in our league. So once again, thwarting any further advances from 𝘀uE there, and Flash. Well, they didn't get the tower, but at least they closed the gold gap somewhat. The initial disengage was actually played really nicely because they split off. They don't... very good flash from 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝗹𝘀 to avoid the bubble as well. But unfortunately, 𝘁 can't dodge the Shadow Surge. Then he's just a little bit of 𝘂𝗎. But yeah, look at the stun here from 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝗹𝘀, or the fear, I should say. Because he really stops any counterplay from 𝘀𝑠cie. They were in better shape in this play, very good stun, but here's the fear, and they have to disengage again. Coupled with a smoke screen as well, so they can't even see what's going on the other side. So, very good disengage from the side of Flash.
Yeah, that was very, very well played there. That's something, as you said, we have to keep an eye on with Vex. Obviously, we look for the big Shadow Surge resets, the big pentakill moments, but even just those little fears are so incredibly impactful out of this champion. It's why she's getting picked so much. It kind of does it all. But we do need to
makes
see.
me wonder if there could be a future where this champion goes into the support position, because I'm not sure. Her laning phase is probably very weak, but if they change some stats here and there, or maybe something gets discovered to get past laning phase, I feel like the disengage power alone and also the engage power to some extent.
Speaking of engage and disengage, Team Flash might need to find some of that ladder, as that is a dead AD carry. 𝘁𝗀𝗃 has been removed from the map. 𝘀𝗃 will now join the game with his massive lead, but it's a lovely stun there out of 𝘂𝑚 to hold him back. They will only pick up 1 kill.
Masterclass from 𝘁𝗃 in this game so far. Hasn't died, and there was a huge shutdown on him.
Ooh, missed the ultimate.
I mean, he would have died instantly for that too, so maybe the better.
Quite possibly.
𝘀𝑠cie conquering more and more of the map. 𝘀𝗃 is so strong. Look at his items. No one can kill him. He's going for the early Hex Drinker to deal with Cannon and also with 𝗁𝗁 dives. So 𝘀𝗃 is super safe in either side lane matchup and probably also in team fights, which makes him a huge threat. And 𝘀𝗃 so far in this season, he's a very interesting player to follow because he was always under the radar of the real elite top laners, right? 𝗁𝗁, 𝘀𝗁𝗃, 𝘂𝑚, Zeros last season. And then 𝘀𝗃 was the first of the rest, the best of the rest. And he had some moments on his Jax, on some of the other performances, especially in the laning phase, where you thought, okay, he actually is in the same echelon of players, he's the same level. But then some of the other games you thought, okay, no, he's just the best of the rest. So this season on 𝘀𝑠cie, which seemed to us like a downgrade in terms of teams, can really be his breakout season, his claim to the throne of the top lane of VCS.
There is a long way to go, though, your way. He is currently up against someone that we have formally hailed as one of the best top laners. Maybe not. It's okay. All right. Well, ignore my point. Ignore my point, as Blazers has just destroyed 𝗁𝗁. He's 50 CS up on him. I'm not surprised that he wins the 1v1, but it's not exactly what you want to be seeing out of your mid laner.
Yeah, and once again, look at the top side for 𝘀𝑠cie. Look at the solo laners, look at Killer Queen. This is their success so far in the split, and no team has been having such a good performance in the top side. Cerberus certainly with a better bot lane, but 𝘀𝑠cie I think so far with the best top side, and especially mid jungle, even though 𝘀𝗃 is amazing in lane and also contributes a lot in terms of damage. The playmaking from these two players, Blazers and Killer Queen, just amazing to watch, and Blazers really stepping back into the spotlight after getting booted from his former team 𝘁𝗀. He was on 𝘁𝗀 when 𝘁𝗀 was failing, when 𝘁𝗀 finished 5th in, I believe, summer of 2018, maybe spring of 2019. And
it was when
now
I was
Blazers is in the #1 team again.
Yeah, it's really impressive stuff. He is a player that maintains popularity, particularly in the VN scene, due to that stint on 𝘁𝗀. All you have to do is play near Levi and the like, and people will love you forever. And I don't blame them. He's an exciting player, and I'm so glad to see him really step into it, really have a bit of a prime as 𝘁𝗀 moving forward. Maybe think better of it next time.
I love the stand-up between Syndra and MF in this game. They are trying to get the better of each other, just staring each other in the eyes. And MF even had the assistance of Lulu and still had to botch, had to walk away. Blaze is just a little too strong, and
he's
huge. Is really, yeah, he's moving into. We needed a good Syndra player again because, of course, we lost our best Syndra player. So it's nice to see Blaze step up to the plate and provide us with some good control mage play. Punishing the Vex. It seems like this is one of Vex's weaknesses early on. If she plays against a super strong control mage that also has a good jungler to follow up on ganks, she has a hard time to get out of lane because it's so easy to kill her from afar.
It does certainly seem that way, as 𝘀𝑠cie are lined up, and there's been a solo kill in the top lane. as Yoshino was found by Vit. This Lucian strikes. I'm hoping we'll get a replay of that very, very soon as 𝘀𝘀cie bear down on the mid lane. Yep. And Dante arrives from the backside trying to make this happen. It's a good Nami wave, but he will get a delicious roll. And Coded is scary, and 𝘀𝗰𝗋 is as well. Displays his talent, Blazes goes gold, buying a lot of time, but the end of the line was well timed. Dante falls to follow. It's a 3-for-2 at the moment in the favor of 𝘀𝘀cie. Vit has not even participated in the fight.
This time, Blaze is not able to dodge away from all the engage. Dante showing us why Grace jungle might still be an option, at least in the VCS, where so many kills are funneled into you early that you actually get to your items.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
He wanted to walk into mid lane and didn't even check his screen. That's a very unfortunate death there for Yoshino. Dante with a good flank, I have to say, though. And especially because 𝘀𝗰𝗋 just moved into the enemy jungle to steal away some camps, though they were not ready for the fight. 𝘀𝗰𝗋 still with a flash display of talent there. This one was supreme. And
Harvey did misplay as well. He flashed without moving out of the supreme display of talent, so he still got stung by it.
Oh, yeah.
So
sometimes it's not
exactly
to judge,
how
though. Yeah.
There's
he still got his safety, though. So he didn't die.
Yeah, but it interrupted his combo, is the issue.
Right.
He didn't deal nearly as much damage. You don't want that.
And I think we're back to 𝘀𝗰𝗋 MVP. After he missed out on a lot of MVP points for the last game, even though he still had an amazing game. Some other members were even more important. This game he's 5-1-2 again on his Assassins. I think this is one of the reasons why 𝘀𝘀cie is looking like the best team in week 1. Their meta read has been the best of any of the teams. Look at Lucian Army. Look at the top side. 𝘂𝑠e, 𝘁𝑖𝑎𝑛a. All of these were mainstays in the meta at Worlds, and no other team has adapted to this as well.
Vex going in. That's a lot of damage onto Vit, but he manages to survive. This denies the reset. Harvey needs his ult right now, but he can't use it. Vit playing that one perfectly. And now 𝘀𝘀cie collapsing in. Yoshino is in a good flank position here on the cannon. Blows up the blast cone. Possibly just to deny any possibility of escape. Vit healing up a little bit. He realizes he has to fight. He has to deal his damage. Ooh, it's close your way, but it's not quite enough as Dante will survive. And Flash get a pick.
Yeah, this was the absolute perfect scenario. Bot lane alone and mid lane, you catch them with the Shadow Surge. Nothing can be better than that. You get the insta-fear. There's nothing Lucian can do to get away from that. And you still struggle so much. You have to invest so many resources to get one single kill on the enemy AD carry with no objective for you to take, because the solo laners and the jungler are still way too scary to move further into the map. So all of that for basically nothing. And this just means 𝘀𝘀cie gets a free recall for the ADC.
That they do. It's, you know, not the best kind of free recall, but it is a free recall nonetheless. As Baron is on the map, neither team looking towards it at the moment. Not too unexpected, considering we are only at 21 minutes. Yes?
I have a very important question.
Yes, your way.
Do you know why the Predator symbol is on Nami's ring?
On her ring?
Yeah, look at her items. She has a Predator symbol on her.
I don't know.
𝘀𝗰𝗋 is under
let's come back to it as 𝘀𝗀𝗀 has been found and has been killed.
Well, 𝘀𝗀𝗀 doesn't want
in a lot of trouble. There's the wild growth, and he just gets detonated. There's a Shadow Surge on Vit. The bubble doesn't hold him back for now, but the damage doesn't really come out from Harvey. As there's an exhaust onto Lucian, they will finally take him down. I don't think that was in time to reset the ultimate, though. So the fight should finally end.
Oh, and Dante, he saw blood in his eyes. He really wanted this Nami kill again instead of trying to focus the Lucian for no reason whatsoever. If he contributed to the Lucian kill, I think they could have killed him much earlier, but he just went for the Nami instead. It's a little bit too bloodthirsty. They're trying to get too many kills on the 𝘀𝘀cie support champion instead of focusing the Lucian down. They still get a good engagement. 𝘀𝗀𝗀 just insta-dies, no flash for him. And he just walks in with no vision, gets punished, rightfully. But now look at Dante in this fight and how he changes targets to Nami for no apparent reason. I think he was still in range for Lucian. So they get the Shadow Surge, very good engage. And Dante, instead of going for the E on Lucian, he goes for Nami, and now he's between two members and gives away his life for free.
Yeah, as we do come back, we see that 𝘀𝗀cie have picked up a dragon. Your answer about the predator ring, I think it's just a visual bug. Obviously, you can't have predator on a dark seal. It did look very funny. Dante just gets away completely for free there. 𝘁𝗰𝗋 used flash, ultimate, and everything.
Well, 𝘁𝗰𝗋 is struggling to make his 𝘁𝗀 work in the later stages of the game. He's super squishy. He went for the not for the Bruiser build, which of course got nerfed. We're not on the Worlds patch anymore. And even at Worlds, most 𝘁𝗀as didn't actually go for the Bruiser build, I believe. At least the European and Chinese 𝘁𝗀as went for the lethality option most of the time. So he's basically a one-trick. He can do one thing and then he dies, or the enemy team dies. There's not much he can rely on to back up his play. If he misses his combo, he just has to hightail it immediately because he just doesn't have the HP or the sustain to work with.
For sure. As 𝘀𝗀cie are now pushed into the enemy jungle, banding around this Baron. Of course, not starting it up yet. Their Baron damage is pretty good, and they've got good Baron sustain, of course, with the Nami, but oh my word, Yoshino's gone.
Lucian damage. This is such an interesting game from 𝘀𝗀cie's side in terms of how they allocated their resources, because usually they don't give much of a damn about the bot lane, and 𝘁 this time was funneled so incredibly hard. He got all the outer turrets, he got the top lane outer turret, the top lane inner turret, the bot lane outer turret, and all the platings. And even though his laning phase wasn't the greatest, he is still so insanely strong right now. And look at 𝘀𝗋𝗋 playing Gatekeeper.
Chunks Dante out. Now the flash has been used. He can't get over the wall. That's such a poor decision there from Dante. 𝘀𝗋𝗋 is going to pick up a kill. Flash the emote. There's the supreme display of talent. Doesn't actually lock any damage down, but it's going to be a double kill for 𝘀𝗋𝗋 here on Syndra. 𝘀𝗀cie get Baron. They get 2 kills. They're getting everything.
Flabbergasted. What did I just watch? Dante just flashed for the kill on Syndra, which he can never get because Syndra can just kill him. And he disregarded the Baron completely, even though it was super obvious the Baron was being done. What is happening?
Oh my god, 𝘁𝗶𝗶𝗃.
Yep, that's Crit Lucian in 2021. Crit Lucian got buffed so much that now his ultimate can just kill you. Combo from Lucian before this year, you had to spam your buttons, you had to weave in and out of the fight. Now you just press R and the enemy dies.
Yeah,
of course, he needs more items now, so it takes a little bit longer to scale, but Lucian's scaling is actually quite acceptable now compared to other ADCs, just because of his slipperiness and his long-range ultimate.
And that is going to be 2 inhibs destroyed. 𝘀𝗀cie are in full control of this game and full control of the series. They want to continue their undefeated streak. They are 4-0, looking to make it 6-0. I suppose they're 5-0, but that is generally how numbers work. Don't blame me, I'm just a caster. Yoshino has... we haven't seen much of Yoshino. He has been pretty invisible this game, and that's something that I want to talk about, because he can't be. He is the carry for this team.
Yeah, and he went for the AD option in the last game for the hard counter pick in lane. He got the solo kill, so that seemed to work, but then his late game execution wasn't great. He's not 𝘁𝗏 on Aurelia, unfortunately. And he's now going back to one of his favorites, the Cannon. He's more of an AP top laner for the most part, especially in the last few years. He was known for his Fiora before, but he's not really playing that anymore. So his AP top laners, yeah, some of them have been great in terms of mechanics and individual play, but I want to see more hard carry champions for this for the captain of the team, because I don't think his team can really win many games, especially against the stronger opponents when he's on the back foot. But his individual play also has to be better. And Cannon for the top teams, or the projected top laners, Xayah, Yoshino, even 𝘁𝗏 to some extent, has been a little bit of a downer. The Cannon not great so far, and mostly picked by the better teams, or the teams we expect to be better.
Team Flash, they're pulling the trigger as Yoshino did find a flank there. They go straight in onto Code and blow him up. Dante will get the kill. They get a second one onto 𝘁𝗀𝗋 as well. But 𝘀𝗋𝗋 fires back. Absolute missiles coming in. The culling comes out. 𝘁𝗔 cannot get away. 𝘁𝗶𝗶 found by 𝘀𝗋𝗋 as well, and it looked disastrous there for 𝘀𝗀cie, but it just didn't matter. It was all a flash in the pan. The Nexus towers begin to fall, and 𝘀𝗀cie continue their march. 𝘀𝗀cie absolutely going poggers in chat as 𝘀𝗀cie firmly plant themselves on top of the ladder as the best team currently in the VCS.
Undefeated in games. What a breakout performance in week 1. I did not believe this was possible, but suddenly, out of nowhere, we have a new king in our league. It's only 3 series, but on the other hand, it's actually already 3 series, and they're still flawless, 6-0. And this game was much more what we expected in this matchup. The best team against the worst team in the league right now, 3-0 against 0-3. And 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀, we did see that. Please work on that. That was disgusting. Last engage, he just died instantly, he ulted nothing. But the rest of the team had his back, and his early game was still very impressive, so I think we can cut him some slack for that late game performance. But Blazes, Vit, H32, just amazing performances in the last game.
For sure. And we will be heading straight back over to the VCS English analyst desk to break down everything that's gone on the Rift in these past 2 games. Take it away, Rebel and lads.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the VCS Analyst Desk. An incredible performance now in our first series of our final day in the first week, where 𝘀𝘀cie is able to clean up a 2-0 and very quick contestation, making them our undisputed #1 team here in this split. 𝘀𝘀cie, I suppose I'll jump to you first, just because I want some opinions on this. Walking in, I don't think any of us really expected 𝘀𝘀cie to really be in a position like this, to be commanding this much of a lead over top of the rest of our competition. So, I mean, in this game, in this series, obviously there are highlights to what it is. But what do you think that formula was that yeah, I guess reared its head in this game and has reared itself over the course of these first 3 series that we've seen from them?
I mean, about the whole week, you cannot really pinpoint one particular thing. About this specific game, I would say it was just win lane, win game, have a better jungler, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But to dive a little bit more into this, they got 𝘀𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀, which should never happen. The 𝘀𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹 bot lane didn't even play that well, I would say. I mean, they died early to the dive where they were face-checking the Graves, which was not something you should do as a 𝘀𝘀cie. You should never use your dash offensively when you're not sure where the opposition is really placing themselves. And yeah, they managed to tilt 𝘀𝘀cie a little bit, I see, because he was like face-checking 𝘀𝘀cie later into the game, and he just died to his auto attacks there, which is really unfortunate when you click on the minimap. And I mean, yeah, 𝘁𝑚𝑗 on the Vex wasn't really it, I would say. You got absolutely destroyed by the Syndra in the mid lane. And while Killer Queen had a stellar KDA, he was missing some very key ultimates. Also, once gave his shutdown up very handedly. He kind of had it easy with his 3 winning lanes, I would say. And yeah, credit is due to 𝘀𝘀cie, because yeah, they are the top team of the league so far. 6 games, 6 wins. I mean, not much to criticize.
𝘀𝘀work, anything?
Oh no, 𝘀𝗶𝗹𝗀.
𝘀𝘀work, my friend.
𝘀𝘀work. Hello? Oh my goodness, he is muted. I'm gonna take this opportunity to throw a low blow at 𝘀𝘀cie, because at the moment they have won 3 series, but the 3 series are actually against all 3 of our bottom teams right now. One of them is 𝘀𝗀, which is also a knock at 𝘀𝗀, and fortunately I get to throw more punches at them a little bit later. 𝘀𝘀work, did you figure out your microphone situation yet? No, I'm gonna take that as a no.
Oh
All right,
no.
𝘀𝘀work. Here, if you just like voice over, I can look at your camera. So let me look at your camera. Just start saying words, and I'll try to figure out what you're saying really quick.
I can also handle
This
that.
is not a bit. Yeah, this is not a bit we're gonna do, unfortunately. That's not okay. No, we're not accepting that. That's not something that's allowed. So anyway, 𝘀𝘀cie, we're going to come back to you, because there's another important aspect to this, which is that Team Flash, I think expectedly for all of us, has now fallen into a state of 0-3. I honestly think some of their performances have been a little bit better than what we had seen previously. Do you agree with me on that front?
Which team? I
Team
just
Flash.
on Team Flash. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a little bit. Where do I really start? I mean, I think the Team Secret game, where they were able to take at least 1 game, I think they were like kind of exceeding expectations. And overall, I think in game 1, where they almost like won, where they had a really good early game with 𝘀𝘀cie, I think they also exceeded expectations a little bit. But overall, I wouldn't really agree with that, actually. I think it depends on how your expectations really were on Flash initially, of course. I mean, I wouldn't call them a complete dumpster fire yet, because based on the roster they had on paper. But I think that they're kind of exactly where we expected them. They lose every series so far. They show some promise in them, but not more than that.
All right. Now, unfortunately, let's see if 𝘀𝘀work. Can I see if you're actually speaking now? Nope, you're still silent. Okay, so I'm going to give you another option here. Ready? Ready for this? Okay, so performances for an 0-3 team right now. Team Flash, Better than expected for our 0-3. Worse than expected for our 0-3. What you got for us? Worse than expected. Okay, I'm not gonna sit here and blame you for that. I think there's a number of reasons why that's the case. The team is still trying to figure out an identity. We're trying to figure out if 𝘁•XE is capable of accomplishing anything. Whether 𝘂𝗰 can actually get his head out of wherever it's stuck right now, because obviously that's a problematic situation. Nonetheless, I mean, like we said, our expectation for this team was not excruciatingly high walking out of our first week, and now I mean we get an opportunity. We've seen these teams play about. Hopefully, Team Flash can turn things around. I'm excited to see 𝘀𝗀cie against the likes of 𝘂𝑚, against the likes of SBTC, against the likes of even Saigon, Team Secrets, just to get their medal. Because this first week, obviously, they 𝘁𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 at a good time, but 𝘂𝗀cie, Team Flash were supposed to be some of the teams that were a little bit lower on those standings in our expectations. We're going to be stepping out for a quick break, and we're going to be back in roughly 30 minutes time, something like that. Kind of depends on how VETV is feeling on the day, how their interview is going, things like that. And we're going to be stepping into our last series of the first week of games here with 𝘀𝗀 taking on 𝘀𝗀𝗺. 𝘀𝗀 versus Levi. These things can't write themselves. Stick around, ladies and gentlemen, because we'll be right back.